Hello, love. So happy back with you. Here we are. It's August. 2024 is rolling through like a freight train. I mean, I won't lie to you, ladies. I really love like October through December. I get so excited. I can't stand myself. So I'm like, come on, let's go. Even though I, of course, love to enjoy the day. But it's hot in Arizona. So I won't be too sad when it goes away. Jen, how's August? Kids start going back to school?
Yep. Kids start going back to school. It's still that warm weather, but not the hot, hot. And we start to
Yeah.
ease into fall a little bit. So
Yeah.
soak up
Mhm.
that last of summer.
I know Jen and me were opposite.
I come visit Arizona when it's
Yes, 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 you do, you do. So, ladies, there is just so many things going on in Transform Boss that are just so exciting. And, as we go into the last half of the year, we are always thinking about how can we have transformation? How can we help ladies achieve their goals? We have this very big, we call it Transform Boss Live. It's in December and it's kind of our like Oscars. We give away awards and all sorts of things. And, last half of the year, we just really dig in deep to help our ladies so that they can celebrate themselves in December and really celebrate the year and, the accomplishments and the things that they have done. And I just love that. I can't wait for this year. I'm really serious, Jen. I might get like a ball gown.
I can't wait to see it because I know
No,
you're not joking.
I don't think I am joking, actually.
No.
I'm pretty sure a ball gown and me are going to be in place. It's going to be like the Met Gala. I'll be in some weird, I don't know. No, I won't. But a ball gown for sure. So, today, what are we going to talk about? Ladies, are you stressed? I know. You're like, what, Shannon? When have I not been stressed? And so today we just want to talk about stress and how it affects your weight loss journey. And, when I think about stress and what stress really is our body's reaction to any sort of change that requires adjustments or response. And it can be caused by a range of factors. I think stress to me is a state that my body can be in a lot, even every day, a little bit. And so understanding how it shows up because stress is a trigger to overeat. When you're feeling stressed, some of the physical symptoms of stress is like fatigue, you're not sleeping well, you're tired, you feel exhausted. And those are triggers to also overeat. And you think about this too, stress. I think there's kind of a bundle of emotions that tie into stress. So, anxiety, depression, feeling overwhelmed, overwhelmed, right? When you just feel overwhelmed with what's happening in your life or, just a myriad of things. And so, the one thing I know about this life is that it is full of amazingness and full of not amazingness, full of pain and stress. And I don't know, it's so weird now because now I can't unlearn what I've learned. I remember a day thinking, I just want to be happy and I just want to not feel stressed. And what I've realized is that is not a human life. Maybe it's my dog's life. I mean, I don't know. She gets anxiety when we leave. So I don't think it's even part of her life. Like we go to the store and she's like, oh, right. So I think maybe even puppies feel it, right? They feel stress and we feel stress. And so it's just a part of our life. And what happens is we want to escape it. We want to escape stress. We want to numb that. We don't want to feel it. And so we go for food. And so we overeat. I can remember, I mean, I've had so many habits around stress when it comes to eating. I used to have a habit of every day at 2 o'clock, I would go get my snack. Right? I can't even tell you how many times right? I can't even tell you how many times I would tell my admin to, oh my gosh, please go find me chocolate. I need chocolate. I need it now. And it was again this response to stress. Jen, when you think about understanding stress or what stress is, what comes up for you? Mm,
A huge piece is noticing how it shows up for you, right? Because it will show up for each of us a little bit differently. when you see me and I'm like this, if you're watching, my shoulders are up to my ears, that's when I'm like, okay,
Oh,
and
yeah.
stretch it out, move like because it does throughout the day. It will just gradually. And so knowing how it shows up for you, whether that's physically, right, how you respond to it, because sometimes we're taking those actions before we even notice that it's there. And then just, as you were talking, I even think now from what I've learned, stress can be used for me too, right? I used to think it was like always against me, something negative, but I love to believe that all of our emotions that we experience are there for a reason, right?
Oh.
And they can be for us too, not just something that's negative.
Yeah, I love that, Jen, because it's just an indicator, right? Our emotions live in our bodies, and they're just an indicator of what's happening and what's going on. And so it's when I know that I'm feeling mentally tired or exhausted, stress is a trigger for me to say, hey, maybe you need to take some breaths. Maybe you should go to bed a little earlier. Maybe you should put your phone away at 5 o'clock and not look at it and just be and enjoy and read and allow your brain to decompress. And so I think stress, I'm with you, Jen, it can also like just be an indicator of what's really happening so that you can then decide what you want to do. All of our feelings. And, another thing that comes up is, there are certain things that I don't want to feel good about. And there are certain things in my life that I'm going to feel stressed about. And that's okay. And this goes to your point, Jen, that negative emotions are okay. I think we've always made them wrong or bad, and we can't have them. And that keeps us in resistance from our human experience. And so when I allow myself to just be stressed and allow myself to feel the emotion, I have way less negative consequences, meaning overeating, buffering, whatever it is, than when I just allow myself to be okay that I get stressed. I feel it. I feel it in my bones sometimes. And that's okay because it's just one, a trigger, and two, it's a reaction to other things that are going on and other changes that are happening. And I don't ever want to make that wrong. And so I love that you brought that in, Jen, because we want to escape negative emotion. It has the word negative, which we think is negative, but negative emotion, right? So on the other scale, all of those emotions are important. I want to feel sad sometimes. I want to feel stressed. I want to feel fear sometimes because, again, this is just part of this human experience. And I have done it the other way. I have not felt the emotion and I weighed 315 pounds. And I don't want to go back to that because I didn't like carrying the extra weight on my frame. And so for me not to go back there, I have to allow myself to experience stress and all of the negative emotions. And so what to do and the triggers and identifying. And I think the first step, as always, is just understanding how stress is showing up for you and then what you do. Because for me, for so long, I would feel stress. I didn't want to feel it. So then I would eat. And so I had to start to think about, well, when I feel stress, what do I want to do? Right? What is in place of that so that I don't do something that then causes me more stress or more negative consequences. So, Jen, when you think about once you've identified the triggers, what are some things even you do to allow yourself to kind of feel that emotion?
Deep breathing is a huge one. That always helps to kind of recenter myself and get me back to my thinking brain because there are times that I will go reach for the food or I will go do something, but I love to ask, is this consequence, is this outcome going to be worth
Mm-hmm.
this momentary relief? Or are there other things I can do, right? Like I like to get to the root of it because it's not just usually one thing that's causing stress for me. It is an indicator that there's a buildup of things that have been happening or a thought around something. And so just really going back and like figuring out what's really going on here, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like when you freak out that somebody folded the towels wrong. It's not that they folded the towels wrong. It's all the other stuff that built up to that point.
Oh, that's a good one. A lot of times we have very low level. We think this low level thing is bothering us, but it's actually a little bit deeper, which is, to me, this is why I get coached every week. Like I have a coach and I get coached every week. And, Jen, I think about all the coaching that you do with our ladies and the coaching that I do with our ladies, because a lot of times we come with these like surface level things, but it's not that. It's something way deeper than that. And again, if you don't know what it is, you can't change it. You can't think differently about it if you don't know. Again, stress is this trigger. I don't want to live in it. And I can think back to periods of time in my life where I just lived in the stress. And what happens when you live in the stress, like Jen said, you're tight as a tight. I don't know what's tight, but like your tension and headaches, and it causes physical ailments because you're not allowing the release of stress. And this is processing emotion, which, this is to me, like some of the best work that we do in Transform Boss with our ladies is learning how to process emotion through our bodies. I just recorded actually a new meditation, so we have a couple of meditations on processing emotions in Transform Boss because, again, allowing yourself to process it so you don't live there. I think we don't want to feel negative emotion because we think we're going to live there because there have been times in our lives where we have lived there, where we have a hard time, something happens and we just live in that, negative emotion, whether it's sadness or depression or anxiety. And so we're fearful of it. So we do everything that we can to avoid it. And so learning how to process it and release it, I know it is just life changing, life and weight changing, because then I'm not trying to numb out because I'm, trying to get comfort. We overeat because we ultimately want comfort. We want pleasure. And so we've tied food to comfort and pleasure. This is when you're like, Shannon, I just love food. I'm like, you do? Because it's not loving you back and it never will. And it probably has produced some of the biggest pain in your life. Like when I think about like being overweight and for so long and carrying so much extra weight on my body and what it did to my self-esteem, my thinking, and oh my Lord, food, not the actual food, but my handling of my relationship with food caused me so much pain. And so ladies, this is just it. It's really starting to understand, how do I process emotion so I don't live in it? Jen, anything as I was talking that came up?
I mean, processing emotion is huge, right? And sometimes when we process it, it doesn't just go away in the first time. And so, how finding a way for yourself to be able to like experience that emotion, whether it is a constant or whether it comes in ebbs and flows without taking action against yourself,
Mhm.
right? Having that conversation, that internal conversation, and how you're able to experience that without taking action against yourself.
Yeah. And you know what, ladies, I just want to kind of challenge you ladies around identifying, because remember, the first step in this process is awareness. And so, what I want you to do is identify what are the triggers that are causing you stress. Because until you know what's really causing the stress, and then understanding I have this trigger, right? Maybe it's work, maybe it's family, health issues, right? It's causing me stress. And then knowing, what do I do when I feel stress? Do
Yeah.
I disconnect? Do I overeat? Do I go on my phone? Do I, disconnect from the world? Do I just want to pull the covers over my head? Whatever it is. And so I just challenge you to do this. Just take 2 minutes on a piece of paper and identify, what do you think is the cause of stress? Now, remember, I want to say this. Other people in the world, we have lots of thoughts about them and they have lots of thoughts about us. And a lot of times we think they're causing stress, but our thinking about whatever's happening is what's causing the stress. So all the humans out there, they get to do just like you, what you want to do and think what they want to think and feel what they want to feel. And so I just challenge you to find, what are your triggers? Again, the way that you think, so that then you can identify how it's causing stress in your body. And then what do you do? So, how are you
Mhm.
thinking about it? It causes stress. And then what do you do? And what's that action? I think it's an important part to just level set yourself in that so that you can really understand how stress is showing up, especially in the way that you're eating. And eating maybe more, or, eating off plan, eating things that you don't want to eat, seeking comfort, right? We seek comfort in food. And so just being aware of that. Jenn, anything else for the ladies?
I love that challenge. I would just say, as you're doing that challenge, pay attention, try to go internal to your body, right? Go into your body and what are your external triggers that are happening, right? Or your thoughts about things, but also how does it show up for you? Because what I've found is when I started noticing how it showed up, right? Like my shoulders that I joke about, or like a clenched jaw,
Mm.
or maybe tight fists or heart, all these things. I might not always be able to identify other ways, but when I noticed these things happening in my body, it was another indicator of like, okay, you're feeling some stress. Caused me to take a moment and pause and see what it was going on and what I want to do. So that's all I would add is just pay attention to how it shows up in your body.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of things like headaches, tension,
Mhm.
muscle aches, pain in your body, a lot of times it's caused by our emotions that just kind of get trapped in there. And so they just stay like, I think of it like balls, like a hard ball just sitting in for me, it's my neck, my neck and my shoulders. And too, like I'll grind my teeth at night. Paul will be like, you were grinding your teeth last night. I'm like, oh, that means I'm stressed. Dang it. You're right. I know, ladies, our body. What a story it tells. Yes.
Mhm.
All right, my loves. Have a beautiful, beautiful couple weeks. And Jen and I will be back a couple weeks from now before you know it. All right. Thank you, Jen. Bye, my
Okay.
loves.